Planet of the Discount sale is now live on the PlayStation Store, featuring discounts on 25 PSVR games. So let's go through them one by one and see which ones are worth picking up. Don't forget the sale ends on July 21st, and as always, special thanks goes out to DuranFan for assembling these lists, making my life infinitely easier. Sadly, we're kicking things off here on a low note, as A-Train Express only has an extremely limited VR mode that lets you look at your model trains in sort of a diorama view, because that's what we want to do in VR. The last thing we'd be interested in is taking a ride through our city on a train in first-person mode. I don't know, I'm not sure what the point is here, but I'm pretty sure there isn't one. Ace Combat 7 goes on sale a lot, but it's usually closer to $20, so the extra $5 off will lessen the sting of a limited VR mode that only includes 3 missions. But as we've said 1,000 times before, these missions have a ton of replayability, and Ace Combat 7 is one of the most immersive, most realistic PSVR experiences out there. How do you not already own Astrobot Rescue Mission? Astro himself is adorable, the levels are creative, the controls are spot on, and it's simply one of the best 3D platformers ever made. The only reason not to grab it on the sale would be because it's been on sale for as little as $8 before. So if you're patient, who knows? That'll probably happen again. A group of us have started playing Box VR daily, and I've got to tell you, this game is all over the place. The simple act of getting your friends together into the same class can be a hassle, and sometimes the hit detection is way too sensitive. But all that aside, it's getting the job done, and we're having some good workouts. So if you're still quarantining and simply not able to get out and go to the gym, this isn't a bad alternative. Fishing games have always been boring to me, but playing Catch and Release in VR is such an immersive experience that I could play it for hours. And even though the entire game only takes place on just one big lake, there's enough to see and do here to keep you entertained for days. I said it already in my recent review of Dreams, but it's absolutely insane that this piece of software even exists. You can make flat-screen PS4 or PSVR games and play other people's creations. The tools here are simply incredible, making the $10 sale price ridiculous. With everything you're capable of doing, Dreams should be the best-selling game of all time. Drunken Bar Fight wasn't what I'd call a good game to begin with, and all the updates they've attempted to implement have basically crippled any of the fun we might have been having. Skip this one and just watch silly YouTubers, you know, the ones with millions of subscribers, act stupid and play it. You'll have a much better time that way. Here's the deal, if you're just now deciding to get into Firewall, this digital deluxe version is a great deal at half price and gives you way more than you'll ever need. But the core game, without all the bonuses, goes on sale for less than $10 all the time, so if you're still on the fence, you might want to hold off. I know that Help Wanted can be a little divisive, but Five Nights at Freddy's VR scared me in ways that even Resident Evil and The Exorcist Legion VR didn't. Yeah, it's essentially a collection of minigames, but horror fans need to check this one out. The flat-screen Hatsune Miku games, overall, have been pretty fun, which makes me wonder what happened here. Hatsune Miku VR asks you to put your hands in the right places at the right time, but it all just feels chaotic and off-rhythm that it often just seems broken. Plus, there are so few songs included here that even if you did pick this game up, you'd basically be forced to buy the 3 overpriced DLC packs, well, that are also currently on sale, making the complete package about $40 when all is said and done. Getting to fly around and shoot stuff as Iron Man is an unforgettable feeling in VR. The Move controllers respond perfectly, and overall, anytime you're in the Iron Man suit, you should be having a great time. The trouble kicks in when you're Tony Stark and you're teleporting from node to node or having long drawn-out conversations with NPCs or sitting and staring at excruciatingly long load times. Iron Man VR is great, but enjoying it comes with a few unexpected hurdles. If you have even one friend that'll play this with you, Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes is a must-have game. One of you sits in VR, face-to-face with a bomb that's about to blow. The other sits outside of VR, can't see the bomb, but is attempting to explain to the other player how to dismantle it. It's super stressful, but it's always a lot of fun. It's no secret that LA Noire The VR Case Files was an earlier PC VR game that was ported somewhat unceremoniously over to PlayStation VR, which means only about a third of the original LA Noire proper is even present here, and includes a few problems when it comes to movement and interactions. But that shouldn't keep you from playing. The VR Case Files still does a lot right, featuring a big open world that's a blast to drive through, and at this price, you should definitely check it out. As someone who doesn't care too much about real-time strategy games, No Heroes Allowed VR puts just enough of a spin on the genre where once I started playing, I didn't stop until I beat the game 4 hours later. And then the very next day, I went back and S-ranked every single level, which took another 4 hours. It's not terribly difficult, and real-time strategy fans might scoff at the simplicity, but this one is just too charming to pass up. Okay, so as much as I want to recommend picking up No Man's Sky during the sale, I do have a couple of reservations. First, you can easily get a physical copy of this game for less than $20 if you buy one on eBay, which makes the sale price here of $35 seem significantly less attractive. And unless you're playing on PlayStation 5, where everything looks sharp and beautiful, you're in for a pretty blurry adventure, even on the Pro. All of that aside, this game is an absolute must-have on PlayStation 5, so grab a physical copy of the PS4 game cheap, then download all the updates for free. $30 for Paranormal Activity: The Lost Soul at launch was just way too overpriced, but Paranormal Activity is one of the scariest VR games out there, with some incredibly realistic environments, great audio design, a ton of scares, and a fun platinum trophy that shouldn't take more than 2 playthroughs at most. For $6, every single horror fan should own this one. Pixel Ripped 1989 was an early PSVR game, but there still hasn't been anything quite like it. Playing video games inside a video game is pretty cool, but when those games infiltrate and take over the VR world, things get kind of insane really fast. With all of its nods to classic retro games, fans of the old NES and Game Boy need to buy Pixel Ripped 1989 and take a trip down memory lane. Pixel Ripped 1995 didn't quite blow us away like 1989 did, but the focus on the SNES era of gaming with references to Metroid, Castlevania, and Road Rash, and spending more time exploring your character's relationship with his family, took the series in an interesting new direction. If you already own 1989 and need more Pixel Ripped, you'll be really happy with this one too. Being lowered into the water in a shark cage in Ocean's Descent was, for a lot of us, one of our first experiences in PSVR, and it remains one of the best places to put your friends, parents, or grandparents when they come over and check out PSVR for the first time. World's got a bad reputation when it launched at $40, but the 5 minigames here are totally worth the sale price of $9. As the definitive best game on PlayStation VR, Resident Evil 7 blows away the competition with an amazing campaign, classic Resident Evil gameplay, and ranks as the scariest game I've ever played in my life. Adding to that a ton of replayability, collectibles, and unlockables for subsequent playthroughs, Resident Evil 7 was already worth it at the $60 launch price, so $10 is simply insane. The Season Pass for RE7 grants you access to all the DLC, and man, there's a ton of variety here. Everything from more story DLC, a Saw-inspired card game, to my favorite, a survival game called Nightmare that's practically endlessly replayable, and you've got yourself an assortment of DLC that complements Resident Evil 7 perfectly. I've tried time and time again to get into rigs over the years, but I'll play a few matches, and for whatever reason, I'll lose interest and drop out, which is crazy because as a launch game, it allowed us to run and jump at fast speeds, not to mention compete in this new esport with other players. So it's not for me, but I get why other people like this one. The VR section of Rise of the Tomb Raider is a pretty small mode where you explore Croft's Manor in first person and uncover items and documents. It's got full locomotion and feels a bit like a point-and-click adventure, so if you're thinking of playing the flat-screen version anyway, this mode is absolutely worth playing. As an early PlayStation VR game, Static absolutely nailed the puzzle genre using a DualShock 4. In-game, your hands are trapped inside a box, and with each new level, the mechanical components on the box change, forcing you to figure out what the buttons on your controller actually do. It's a brilliant concept that's executed perfectly with obvious Portal vibes, and I'd say that this is a must-have game for any PSVR owner. The flat-screen version of Super Stardust Ultra benefits from super high-resolution graphics, which is really important in a twin-stick bullet hell shooter. The PSVR version loses quite a bit of that resolution, so even though this game is still great and the added depth of each planet is enjoyable, this is one of the few times that VR doesn't actually make everything better, despite a VR-exclusive first-person level. The Impatient is a tricky one. On the one hand, it's only about 2 hours long and requires about 5 playthroughs to see all the alternate endings. On the other hand, despite some great moments of horror, there's just way too much downtime answering irrelevant questions that somehow determine the outcome of the game. If you're a horror fan, you should play it. Just keep your expectations in check. Rush of Blood has been on sale for less, but it's still one of the best PSVR games out there. It feels like a light gun shooter in the vein of Carnival or House of the Dead, but on literal rails, making it not only one of the best horror games, but also one of the best roller coaster games on the platform. Keep in mind though, that although this game works perfectly on the PlayStation 4 and PS4 Pro, Rush of Blood has some serious problems on PlayStation 5, which causes the game to pause randomly in the middle of levels, making it way too annoying to play.